Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to HYCM's online trading workshop with myself, Giles Cochran, the Chief Currency Analyst here at HYCM. Well, I'm very glad you could join me today. We are in the middle of US elections, and of course, that is the main story of the day. And on Monday's webinar, we looked at the three potential outcomes of the US election. Before we get into it, just going to quickly run through the disclaimer as we talk about different entries, exits, commodities, instruments, different trading setups, stops, take profits, etc. All of this is from a educational perspective. It's not a solicitation or an invitation to take certain trades. The whole idea of these webinars is you look over my shoulder, someone with a professional trading background, and you see how I go about making decisions, and that helps you inform your trading decisions. So that's the whole idea of this. Now, with that disclaimer done, I'll go through. Now, we looked at the three different outcomes that we're expecting. Outcome of the Biden victory, Trump victory, and scenario 3, no clear victory and contested outcome. So to recap where we currently are, we're currently in this scenario, a contested outcome. And if we just quickly go over to the charts, we've seen markets responding exactly the way that we anticipated. So if we just go over to, there we go. You can see that we're expecting to see US dollar strength, and we've seen the US dollar strength, particularly as Trump started making unexpected comebacks, and he was starting to do much better in the actual election result than he was expected to do in the polls. So we saw the dollar strength. We've also seen President Trump come out this morning and say that he's prepared to go to the Supreme Court. He's asked people to stop voting, and he's declared himself the winner. Now, of course, doesn't mean he's the winner, but it's a lot closer than the market was expecting. So we've seen this dollar strength. Now, that dollar strength has been paring back, and I'll show you the reason why in a minute. We also expected to see US dollar yields falling. Those US dollar yields fell heavily overnight. You can see here the 10-year government yields. And the reason for this fall in yields is that the market was pricing in a stimulus package coming, good support for the US economy, and all of a sudden, with the contested outcome, the stimulus package suddenly looked less likely, sold off heavily. It is recovering a little bit off the lows. We'll explain why. So we are seeing the markets behave as we expected in that kind of risk-off environment. Now, why are we seeing some of that paring back? Just have a look at the dollar. Some of that dollar strength has pared back. We're now seeing the dollar weakness. That's lifting the major currency pairs, which is what we'd anticipate with the dollar weakness. Now, just taking a look here, great website. I'm going to send it to you on the chat box. It gives you the latest up-to-date electoral votes and how the breakdown is working between the Democrats and the Republicans. Just popping this in the chat box, you can go away and have a play with this yourself over time. Don't forget, put the question and answer box. You can put questions here. Good afternoon, Keshi. Very glad you could make it. Excellent stuff. So if you just go into the question and answer panel, you can use that there. Okay, so we're going back over to this very helpful map. Now you can see that Biden is 227 electoral votes against 213 electoral votes for Trump. Biden needs 43 votes to win. So if you just start doing the maths, we can start working this out. So Wisconsin. Now, Biden's in the lead. There's 92% votes taken, 8% votes remaining. Now, remember, I've posted about this a few times. There's a phenomenon called the blue shift. Now, let me just show you what that blue shift is. I'm going to give you the article. Blue shift. Yeah, here we go. Now, this is the article I wrote back in the middle of October. Okay, so just going to put that in the chat box as well. Now, this phenomenon called the blue shift is that when postal votes are counted, in some research that was done, it tends to favor, you can look at the article for all the information, it tends to favor the Democrats. So you see Wisconsin, we've got postal votes still to be coming in, okay? And those ballots are expected to be counted Wednesday morning. So they are due to be today. Now that should favor Biden. Biden's in the lead at the moment. So that should mean Biden should get Wisconsin, which should be 10 votes to Biden, right? Now go to Michigan. Right, we've got 14% of votes. The remaining mail ballots are expected to favor Democrats. So Michigan is going to be a key area. So Trump's in the lead, but Biden could easily catch up. So that's one to watch. That's questionable. That could favor Biden. Trump's in the lead, but remember, 14% votes. It's only a very small fraction. That's going to be a key battle state. Pennsylvania looks like a firm Trump win. North Carolina, I think that looks pretty firm towards Donald Trump now. He's quite close, but you know, I think North Carolina looks like it's going to go Trump's way. Georgia, again, that looks like it's Trump's way as well, but it's quite close. 92% votes already reported. You know, still that looks like Trump's way. Arizona, that looks like it's heading Biden's way, 82% with a pretty firm lead for Biden. So that's another 11 votes for Biden. Alaska, firm Trump victory expected there. Nevada, a firm victory expected for Biden. Well, I say firm, pretty close. So Nevada is looking. So going through those votes, we got Wisconsin 10, we've got Arizona 11, and Nevada at 6. So you put that together, that's 27 votes. Now, Biden needs 33 votes to get the win. So what that means is it's going to come down very much, looks like it's going to really pivot on Michigan. That looks like the key state. If we see Biden pull ahead in Michigan, that's going to be clear, okay? These mail ballots are expected to favor Biden. So although Trump's in the lead, it's only by 0.5%. So that means it's going to be recounted anyway. And if Biden gets Michigan, then that is a Biden win. So you can see now why markets are starting to move towards this Biden win, okay? You can see dollar index dropping. You can see gold picking up, which is what we'd expect. We can see the major currency pairs lifting higher. Now, in the big picture, we still don't know who's going to win the US election. It still is up in the air, and there's a few caveats. When will the votes be counted? Michigan is expected to be counted today. Pennsylvania expected to be counted today, and Wisconsin today or tomorrow. So this Michigan vote is going to be absolutely crucial for seeing who wins. If we get a win in Michigan, then that really firmly puts Biden in the lead. So a win in Michigan for Biden should give Biden a lead. We'll come and check that up before the end of the webinar. We'll go and check that up. So what that means is a couple of things. First of all, don't get carried away thinking that means Trump's going to roll over. Trump is very more likely to try and contest the outcome. So watch out for that. We saw this morning, he made it clear he's going to be speaking to the Supreme Court. He wants voting to stop. Donald Trump will not go out without a fight. We know that about Donald. So that is something to be careful of. And in that environment, we'd expect to see US dollar upside and US stocks and European stocks initially falling. But remember, US stocks and European stocks, to a certain extent, are expecting a US stimulus package to come from the Federal Reserve, from the US administration. At some point, that stimulus bill that was being debated before the US election will be passed, and that will be supported for US stocks. Therefore, any stocks that dip in uncertainty, you'd expect to find medium-term buyers stepping in. Be aware of that. The other thing to be aware of is this. If we get the Biden victory, this is what we'd anticipate. We'd expect US stocks and European stocks up. We'd expect to see the US dollar weak, especially against the Aussie and New Zealand dollar. We'd expect to find the US dollar Chinese yuan falling, and we'd expect to find upside for gold and silver. Okay, so let's just go through those. We're going to go through those one by one. I'm going to go over to the other screen. First of all, US stocks and European stocks up. Here we see the S&P 500 futures market. Right? So you can see the S&P 500 futures market has been rising on anticipation of a Biden win. All of a sudden, Trump did better, uncertainty, selling off. We now see the markets edging towards, always Biden gonna get it? He might do. S&P 500 rising. If we get a clear victory, I'd expect that to support stocks, and we'd expect this to provide a first target area around this 3497, 3500. Okay, that's what we'd expect on a clear Biden victory. Now, in terms of the US dollar, we expect the US dollar to be weak, and we expect the US dollar to fall lower, and we expect the US dollar to drop down into near-term support around this 92.50 level, and then back down. Next target would be the 92.0 level. That would lift the major currency pairs. So we expect that to lift Aussie US dollar, New Zealand US dollar. These cyclicals, high beta currencies, you expect them to lift higher, and you also expect that to lift the euro US dollar pair. So we expect buyers, buyers, buyers. Leave the pound aside for 1 minute because of Brexit and the fact we've got the Bank of England meeting tomorrow. So just leave the pound to one side for now. We'd also expect the US dollar Chinese yuan to fall, just looking at this currency pair. Right, so you can see we've got the US dollar Chinese yuan falling now in anticipation of this Biden victory. Okay, so if this Biden victory comes, we expect that to keep falling lower. Also expecting upside for gold and silver. Now, a Biden victory will be supportive of gold. That's what we're expecting. So key area here would be a break of that trend line to the upside should be supportive of gold, and we expect to find gold buyers. So this is a key level. There's lots of fundamental reasons for gold to be strong. One, the Federal Reserve has very low interest rates. That supports gold. Those low interest rates are projected to last until 2023. We have masses of quantitative easing that devalues the dollar. That supports gold. Gold is paired against the dollar. A weak dollar equals strong gold. Here's the relationship. Dollar is a turquoise line, the dollar index. As the dollar drops, what does gold do? Gold rises. As the dollar rises, what does gold do? Gold falls. Rising dollar, falling gold. Rising dollar, falling gold. Falling dollar, you guessed it, rising gold. So a weak dollar on a Biden victory equals rising gold. So a Biden victory should be very supportive of the gold market, pushing it higher. Similarly with silver. So a nice low risk entry point would be a break of this trend line. A break of this trend line higher on a Biden victory, you'd expect a nice target coming in around that 2,000 level would be a nice near-term target for potential gold buyers. At this stage, you know, the election still is uncertain, but we've had a look, have a look here, and you can see who's winning and how much likely it is to shift. You see Wisconsin now 97% done. That's looking like a decent Biden victory. Probably be a recount because that's pretty tight. Michigan, still 0.5% in it between Trump and Biden. We'll come back to that before the end of the webinar. So that's the scenario. Just a quick reminder, a Trump victory, on the other hand, although it's unlikely, well, I say it's unlikely, it's still very much in the balance. It's edging towards Biden, but if we do get a Trump victory, we can still expect US stocks and European stocks US stocks to rise, and that's because of that stimulus package. Whether you get Biden or Trump, you'd expect US stocks to rise. Also expect US dollar upside as the US will have more protectionist policies with President Trump at the lead. You know, think of the policies he's been implementing in his first term. Remember the US MCA agreement, formerly NAFTA, when Donald Trump really hit his two biggest trade partners, Canada and Mexico. And then after doing that, he's then gone for China, and now he's going for Europe. You know, he even goes for Scotland, and Scotland, he owns, you know, he even owns golf courses and property in Scotland, over here in the UK, and apparently loves the nation, but we're still prepared to tax their whiskey. You know, probably one of the most prized exports of the whole Scottish nation, and President Trump steps in to put tariffs on their whiskey. So that tells you how much the man likes tariffs and how much he takes a combative approach to trade. That is just how he does trade, how he does business. Difficult to manage, and that means that if he does have the victory, more US dollar upside is expected, because Trump is going to make trade wars just an everyday thing. He's going to be back to trade war with China, back to trade war with whoever wants to trade with him. It's going to favor the US dollar. It's going to not favor emerging markets. So that's one to watch out for if Trump has a victory. And we expect a falling US dollar, Russian ruble, but again, expecting upside for gold and silver. Now, immediately, you might get some downside for gold, okay? Because of this US dollar strength, you'd expect to see some near-term downside in gold, just like we saw overnight, but medium term, you'd expect gold buyers. So I'll show you the place where I would expect medium-term buyers to step in on a Trump victory, and it will be, oh, sorry, wrong screen. It will be down here in the 1820 region. You see this region here? This, for me, will be an ideal place to buy gold if we get a Trump victory. Expect a drop in the US dollar, but I would then expect the pressures on the US dollar to return, low quantitative easing, massive quantitative easing, low interest rates. The US dollar is expected to be weaker medium term, regardless of who comes in to power. So, you know, for me, gold upside is massively favored right now. Okay, so I hope all that is clear for folks. One of the special topics we're doing this week as well is the how to manage a big winning trade. Now, I just thought I'd put this in because I've got a big winning trade that I'm in, and I'm going to show you how to manage it. Now, it sounds funny, but sometimes you think, you know, well, what do I do when I'm in a massive winning trade? How do I manage that? Well, I took a trade recently on Bitcoin going back to, I entered the start of October. So I've been holding this for pretty much a month today, okay? So just under a month. I entered on the break of this candle here. Now, I was looking at Bitcoin, and for me, I suddenly saw there was some really, really positive reasons to buy Bitcoin. I went through a whole load of them on my blog. Make sure you're reading my blog. I put up loads of good analysis on my blog, and make sure you're reading it. I'm going to give you the link, and I'm going to give you the link to this Bitcoin piece. So I came across this very good Bloomberg intelligence report, which suddenly made me think, you know what, there's a great place to buy Bitcoin. Okay, now you can see here, I flagged this up in real time, and I flagged this up here early October, and looking at this break of trend lines on the weekly time frame. Now, I'd already entered this earlier, but I was showing another trend line for people to enter, and this is how I managed it. You see, so I entered on this break of this daily trend line. Again, this wasn't just a trend line break. these are the fundamental reasons. Make sure whenever you're trading, my philosophy of trading is you have a fundamental reason and then you have the technical. So here's the fundamental reasons. Lots of fundamental reasons here. You can go through them all. And so that I thought, well, okay, this trend line break would be a good indication that bull's in control. Trend line break. And then I was looking, well, you know, the obvious place to take profit will be up at these highs. But I thought to myself, well, you know, the next obvious place is this weekly trend line break. If I get a weekly trend line break, then the buyers are still in control. And lo and behold, bang, I got this weekly trend line break. So I thought, well, there's no point, you know, there's no point taking profit now because there's still bullishness in the market. So then at this stage, I'm very firmly in profit. And I thought, well, I'm coming up to the US elections. I thought as long as Biden is in the lead in the polls, I want to hold the position. Because that's weak for the US dollar. Bitcoin's paired against the US dollar, weak dollar, good for Bitcoin. So the fundamentals are still in play. Now, my way I'm going to be playing this now is I will be dragging my stop up to a swing point. Once I get a swing point, I'll be putting my stop under that swing point. So at the moment, price is still moving higher. If we break over this trend line, we break through that key resistance level, then we're making our way back up to 1700, and then the obvious target would be up here. But now very heavily in profit, so I don't want to just take my profit. If I got a surprise Trump victory, that may be opportunities to take my profit, but as it stands, I'm just going to hold the position. Now that's because of the fundamentals, and the fundamentals of Bitcoin have changed. I think that there is a lot more popularity in Bitcoin. Central banks have been talking about digital currencies. We have PayPal expanding the purchase of Bitcoins for their PayPal customers in a new trial that's gone very successfully. A number of big high-profile companies have been putting some of their capital reserves into Bitcoin. All of it shows there's a growing acceptance of the cryptocurrency. Previously, it was often mentioned in the same breath as criminals and terrorists. But there's been a definite social shift to how Bitcoin is perceived. So that's why I want to keep holding this for as long as I can. And obviously a Biden victory is likely to see this shoot higher and move up. Then this would be a key support zone. So once price breaks through here, and if we get a bounce off this support, which we would likely if we see a break of it, then I'll be moving my stops just underneath that support level around the 13,800 level. So that's how I'm managing that trade. When I finally close it, I'll let you know. Why might I close it? Obviously, a surprise Trump victory could be a reason for a trade, for closing the trade. Any negative Bitcoin news that's very bad for Bitcoin, that could cause me to close the trade as well. There's sort of fundamental reasons. Right, okay, that's great. Sorry, I'll show you. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you the right screen. So this is the right screen here. So I'll just go through. That was the daily trend line break here. And then as price went through that weekly trend line, that gave me the confidence to stay. And this is that key support level overhead. This is not a trade to enter now because that's left. It's left the boat. The only potential area to enter is a retest of that weekly trend line, as long as the fundamentals remain in place. Okay, Shua, good afternoon. If Biden wins, gold down, vice versa, Trump win, gold up. No, I don't think that's the case. Look, you can see the dollar is selling off on the expectation. If Biden's expected to win, we're seeing the dollar sell off. So Biden victory, gold up. Trump victory, Shua, I'm seeing near term gold down and then up. Medium term, I'm seeing gold up, whatever happens. Yeah, Kashif, thank you. I got that. Just got news Wisconsin for Biden. Let's have a look. Let's just see. I'm not getting. Michigan has got a Biden at 49.2 and Trump at 49.2. Look at that. That's so close for Michigan. I'm just seeing what I'm getting here. Wisconsin has got Biden at 49.5, Trump at 48.8. That's Edison Research. So that is looking like Wisconsin. So let's just have a quick look. That would make, yeah, so Wisconsin is meant to be a victory for, but we still haven't got I haven't got Michigan in here, Schwa. That's still outstanding. And we've still got the remaining mail ballots. So I haven't got any news here on Michigan. And I haven't had any news in the last sort of half an hour since I've been on the webinar. Let's have a look. Michigan. Okay, Michigan. So decision desk, look at that. They've got Biden at 49.2 and Trump at 49.2 for Michigan. Wow. 86.4 to 99% of votes tallied. So very, very close. Michigan, Edison Research have got Biden at 49.4. Okay, so yeah, so there is a little bit coming in on Michigan. You're right, Schwa. Edging towards it. It's coming down to such a close thing. You can see why, but we're seeing, you know, the market is telling you what's happening, seeing some of that gold strength, seeing some of that dollar weakness come back into the market. Is that, you know, Biden's sort of edging ever so close. We'll really have to see. Oh boy, what happens? We're in for a bit of a nail biter, and you can't see Donald Trump going out without one amazing fight, particularly with it being so close. Folks, I hope that's been helpful today. I hope that's been helpful just to, you know, show you what's going on. We don't have any dominant currency sentiment pair today because things are just too much up in the air with the markets. Remember, one interesting pair that I like, if we get the election through, is the Aussie New Zealand dollar pair. I really like this to the upside. At the RBA, we had a sell the rumor, buy the fact response when we saw the RBA, they cut interest rates as expected, increased bonds to 100 billion Australian dollar as expected. They then also targeted the 3-year yield at 0.10%, down from 0.25%. But crucially, Lowe said he wasn't planning on going negative interest rates. He saw that was highly unlikely. Now that means the RBA are stuck at 0.10 and likely to stay there for some time. The RBNZ are heading towards negative interest rates. They meet next week on November the 11th. So all of a sudden, we see a divergence opening up between the RBA and RBNZ. This is a trade I'm in. You can see that the bond yield spread is favoring Aussie New Zealand dollar upside. This bond yield spread is basically a risk profile. When you get the yield spread rising, that favors the Aussie. When you get the yield spread falling, that favors the New Zealand dollar. This is the bond yield between an Australian 10-year bond and a New Zealand 10-year bond. A bond is basically a loan to the government. So the yield spread between these two tells you what the risk profile is. And the risk profile at the moment is positive for the Aussie against the New Zealand dollar. Hence, the yield spread is above price. So that means the price can really ramp up to connect up there. Do you see the way the bond yield spread tracks the price? At the moment, especially going into the event, there's a divergence. High bond yield spread, low price. One has to catch up with the other. Lo and behold, it has. So looking there, potentially a nice target would be into that 1.0800 level, just around there, in conjunction with this support. That's one potential swing trade. You know, I wouldn't jump into this now. Maybe look at potentially any pullbacks as a potential, as long as market conditions remain good, this is based on a Biden victory. If you get a Trump victory, expect this to fall. It could be an opportunity to get in at a better price. but that's one to be looking out for. RBNZ meeting next week, November the 11th. If they're very negative, the RBNZ, that would be great for this trade. If they get more positive about the economy, that would invalidate this outlook. If they walk back from negative interest rates, that's the key thing to look at. If they're still heading towards negative interest rates, that boosts this trade higher. If they walk away from it, that changes the outlook. The yield spread will let you know what's happened as well. So don't forget, you can use that. Guys, don't forget, you can come to this webinar on Monday. I look at events well in advance. Come here on Wednesday as well, and we look at events. I can give you lots of information, and don't forget, you can use the question and answer session. So please do. John, great to see you. Great to have you around. Hope you hope you're doing well, John. It's been a pleasure, as always, and exciting times to be in the market and to see what's happening. So thank you all very much for your time. Yeah, good. Yeah, really glad you dropped in, John. Yeah, thanks, Kashif. Glad you could make it as well. I hope that's been helpful for your trading. One last thing I'll quickly share is a couple of stocks. Take a quick screen share. These are some stocks that are expected to favor Biden. You can just have a quick look at that. And this was from JP Morgan. And these are the stocks that are expected to favor Trump. That was from JP Morgan as well. So Biden stocks there. Tesla stands out. And JP Morgan Trump basket there. Thanks, everybody. Take care now and have a very good afternoon. Thank you now. Goodbye.